Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben, the award-winning gardening podcast as voted for by the Grow Your Own magazine and by my followers and by my listeners. I hope that you have all clicked that subscribe button. If you're new to the podcast channel, please do click the subscribe button and then you get notified of all the new podcasts that get launched. And if you're not following me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and TikTok, make sure you look for Gardening with Ben and follow me on all my social medias. So sit back, relax, grab a brew and let's enjoy today's gardening podcast with Ben. Hello and welcome back to Gardening with Ben for a brand new episode today. Wow, I am absolutely boiling hot as I'm recording this podcast. It is atrocious. Well, it's fantastic, the weather. I'm absolutely loving it, but I'm not loving it, if you get what I mean. It's literally like 40 degrees today here in Sheffield, and yes, we do get that abroad, but we're not used to it in the UK. And wow, has it been a day and a half today. The weather absolutely scorching. Well, it was like this as well yesterday. I think it got up to like 37 yesterday, but today it got up to a massive 40, and it's been absolutely phenomenal, this weather. I did go down to the allotment yesterday to have a look at it, because for the weekend I've been away. I've been to a place called Bridlington. If you're not too sure where that is, that's on the coast of the UK. And it's like a nice little beach area which is perfect for people to go and visit, and yeah, a lot of people love it. It's a place where you can go on some rides, get fish and chips, you can go on the arcades, can get some delicious waffles, which I certainly did twice while I was there, and you can go in the English Sea as well if you want, if it is warm enough. And I did actually go in for a swim. It was warm enough when I went on the Saturday, and yeah, it was nice to have a swim in the sea, because I've not been abroad for a couple of years, so it's nice to get in there and enjoy it. So we made a good weekend of it for my dad's 70th birthday, and yeah, I came back on Monday, went straight to the allotment to check on things because I knew it was going to be a start of a massive heat wave. Thankfully, I've got some fantastic neighbours on my allotment, and they kept things watered for me as well while I was away. And obviously, I do the same for them. If they're away, I would water their allotments and look after them for them as well, and replicate the favour as well back to them. It's good to get people like that on the allotment. Always make sure you have friends down on the allotment site, because who knows if you need your allotment watering some time or other, and they will often do the same for you if you do the same for them, and keep things alive as well, because I certainly picked the time to go away when everything did need watering. So I do thank my neighbours for keeping things watered and looked after and keeping it alive as well. So I got back off my holiday yesterday, went straight down to the allotment, checked on my melons, because my melons are my pride and joy this year. I will get some melons growing, and that is my aim this year. So I've checked on them, my watermelons and my cantaloupes, and I have got some watermelons growing. I can't believe it. The watermelons are actually popping through. I shared a picture on Instagram and on Facebook today, so if you've not seen them, go over and have a look at them. And yeah, I've got some watermelons growing, so those aren't going to need watering regularly, because obviously watermelons are full of water, so we need to make sure that we keep pumping them with water on a regular basis, preferably water them once a day at least. So that's going to be our job over the next few weeks, and I'll keep you updated with how well it's actually growing and how big it's getting on the plant. So yeah, we're going to be keeping an eye on them and sharing the journey of the growth of the watermelon with you all, from baby watermelon through to hopefully a nice decent sized one. So we're going to keep his eyes peeled on them firmly. So what else have I been looking at today? I've been looking at my pumpkin plants, because as well as my watermelons and my melons, I'm wanting to get a nice decent sized pumpkin this year. So I've been looking at them, and last week it was only quite tiny, but I have been giving it a lot of water every single time when I go down to the plot, because again, I want a decent sized pumpkin this year. And obviously they do say if you want a decent sized pumpkin on your plant, don't have too many pumpkins growing on them. Just have a couple growing on them, and then keep taking the flowers off on the other ones to stop any more pumpkins growing. That is how you get a decent sized pumpkin, because the plant is concentrated just on that sized pumpkin. It's not concentrated on growing any others. So that's what you need to do if you want to get a decent sized pumpkin. Or if you're just wanting to grow loads of little pumpkins, just keep the pumpkins that are on at the moment and get them growing as well. So we're hopefully going to give them some food tomorrow, because they're due some food. I do like to feed my plants every week or so certain plants, preferably. I like to feed my blueberry plants once a week. I like to feed my strawberry plants once a week. Yes, even though they haven't got strawberries on them, I do like to give them some feed. And I like to feed my cucumbers, my tomatoes, my melons, because with cucumbers, tomatoes and melons, I'm growing them in pots, and eventually all the nutrients will go out of the compost. They'll use it all up, so you need to keep giving them that feed, keep giving them that energy and that boost to get a good decent crop growing from it. So we're going to be feeding them all tomorrow, and it's just general feed, to be honest. It's just general seaweed feed that I get. You can obviously feed them with tomato feed. Don't feed your blueberry plants with tomato feed though. Feed them with special ericaceous feed, because they are ericaceous plants, and that's the compost that they need to be grown in as well. So if you're wanting decent sized plants, you need to feed them with ericaceous feed. And these were only new plants this year. They're not plants that have been in for a while, and I picked off quite a few blueberries today. I didn't bring them home with me, I just ate them straight at the allotment, and that's the best thing about the plot, because you're just picking things while you're down at the plot and just having a nibble and eating everything before you go home. Obviously I live on my own, I don't need to share them with anybody, so I can just eat them all. I wouldn't eat them all and then take them home and the person say, why ain't you brought nothing back with you? Because I've eaten it all at the allotment, which would be general case for quite a few people who obviously have allotments. Peas are another thing what people like to do. They never make it home to the pan. People just end up eating them all at the allotment before they take them home, because they're so fresh and so delicious. They're absolutely glorious. So we've got them growing as well. What else have we done today? We've picked a couple of courgettes, and I've grown courgettes in the past. I've not grown them for myself. I've usually grown them for friends and family, because they like them and they like to use them. So I've grown some courgettes this year, and I've got a new pan. Obviously living on my own, I don't like to do big meals and stuff like that. I was just snacking and everything, and I weren't having proper food, to be honest. So I got this proper cooking pan, and it's a case of you can just chuck it all in and it'll cook it all within 5 to 10 minutes. It's absolutely fantastic. I've been making like wraps and stuff like that with chicken and tomato sauce and peppers and stuff like that. So I'm going to try using some courgettes in these wraps, because I've never properly eaten courgette before, because my mum and dad aren't keen on courgettes, so they've never used them properly. So I'm going to try using them and seeing how we get on with growing some, and see if we can get some decent meals made from them, because I've got about 20 plants. So I'm going to be living on courgettes for the rest of the summer, which is a good thing. It'll save money on buying produce and stuff like that for my meals and stuff, and it's good for you, it's healthy. So yeah, I'm looking forward to making some courgette meals, and it's going to be quite a busy couple of weeks coming up, because My potatoes are ready as well. The plants are starting to die back now, which means that the potatoes are ready. Obviously you can pick them before then, but obviously if the plants are dying, that means they're not going to grow anymore. So it's a case of digging them all up. So we need to start digging up all my potatoes and start making some nice meals with them. I did pick some the other week. I tried a couple of plants to see what they were like, and I dug them up and they were absolutely glorious. Now, if you've never grown potatoes before or tried home-grown potatoes, you are certainly missing out. They are the nicest things you will ever taste, apart from sweet corn. That is my favourite. They are the nicest things. They just absolutely melt in your mouth. They're not like a potato you get from the supermarket, trust me. They are absolutely delicious. All I did was put them in the microwave for about 10 minutes in a pot, and they're absolutely delicious. So I'm trying new stuff because when you're living on your own, I know it's an excuse, but you don't tend to eat decent meals, and you just tend to snack and have rubbish all the time. So I do need to start eating a lot better and start looking after myself a bit more, because I really don't look after myself in eating, and obviously eating well helps you physically and mentally as well. So yeah, I'm hoping to get things good and get things growing well, and so that I can have some nice meals. And I'm going to start looking for different recipes to try and stuff like that. And obviously you've seen me using my rhubarb quite a bit this year. I've been cooking that in my pan that I've got. This pan is absolutely fantastic. It does everything fantastic and really well. I'm just looking at new things to try and cook. I've obviously got to work out what I'm going to be doing with potatoes, whether I want to just keep sticking them in the microwave or whether I want to cook them some other way. But yeah, I'll keep looking out for recipes. And we have got some butternut squash growing as well, I think, and possibly some other types of squash growing on my plot. So I'm looking forward to trying them as well. And I saw some courgettes growing today on my allotment, and I think they are trombone courgettes. And trombone courgettes are meant to grow absolutely massive, to about 1 metre long. So I'm looking forward to seeing if these actually grow to 1 metre long. We'll give them a go. We'll keep watering them. We'll keep seeing how well they grow and how well they're coming along, and see if we do get some nice produce from it. But yeah, that's the thing with gardening with me. I just love experimenting. I don't always eat everything. Some stuff does go to waste, and I give a lot away to friends and family. But I do want to try different stuff and see if we can get things growing really nice and hopefully get some good produce. Obviously towards September time will be when all my produce like fruit is ready. Yes, I've got all my strawberries and my raspberries at the moment and stuff like that, but it'll be when all my apples are ready, all my pears are ready, all my cooking apples are ready. I was looking at my cooking apples today, and they're absolutely getting really big, to be honest. They're growing well, really well, and I'm impressed with how well they actually are coming along and getting decent size. So yeah, everything's coming along really well, and I've got some lettuce to pick as well tomorrow, so I can put some of them in my wraps as well with my courgette chicken tomato sauce, and I've got some mushrooms, and I've got some peppers as well. So it's going to be a nice, fantastic meal. I'm looking forward to trying this. Maybe I should start doing cooking podcasts or cooking shows to show people what to cook with their produce that they grow. That could be a new line of direction for me. So we'll have to see if we can get things underway. But I'll see how we get on. See if it comes along well and what we can get growing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to trying these tomorrow. I did want to eat the courgette cook the courgettes tonight in the wraps, but it's just way too hot to cook tonight. Yes, I'm just going to snack today, but tomorrow I'm going to get these cooking and get things going well and see how we'll get things looking. So what else have we got? Oh, we've got all this beetroot, as beetroot is absolutely massive now. It's getting big. You're not meant to let them grow too big because they do get woody, and there's a chance of them bolting and losing them. But I'm no good at cooking beetroot. I've not got the adequate facilities for boiling beetroot. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be digging it all up and giving it to my mum and dad, so they can cook it and boil it, because A, I do love it when it's pickled, and B, I do love it when it's been freshly boiled as well. I had a bit of an incident once when I ate too much beetroot. I went to the toilet and yes, it was red, and I thought I was in serious issues, but then I realised I'd been eating a lot of beetroot, and yes, it can turn it red. So always be careful if you eat too much beetroot, because it does turn things red. So we've got all that to pick, and the sweet corn's coming along. The sweet corn won't be ready until September time. That's when it's usually harvest time for sweet corn. But again, obviously, as the hot weather is really hot at the moment, and sweet corn, to say how big the plants get, the roots don't go that far down. They're quite shallow roots on sweet corn, so you've got to keep them really watered well, because you're wanting them to grow as tall as possible. The taller you can get it, the more ears of corn you will get growing on that plant. So keep watering it every single day. Give it a good drink. It will drink it all, trust me. And keep them weed free as well, because you don't want the weeds competing against the sweet corn plants. Sweet corn is precious stuff. Until you've tasted homegrown sweet corn, you won't know what's hit you. And if you have tasted homegrown sweet corn, let me know if you've grown it yourself before, and you will know how well and tasty it actually is to grow. So yeah, it's all coming along really well. I'm pleased with my allotment this year, and my sunflowers especially. They've not grown tall this year. I've not got tall sunflowers for some bizarre reason. They're all small, but they're all coming out in flower, so I'm pleased about that. And the thing is, obviously, if they are really tall, you have to try and support them to stop them from falling down or blowing over or snapping. So yeah, they are starting to come out, and they're absolutely glorious. It was a mixed bag of sunflower seeds that I purchased this year. I didn't just buy the giant sunflowers, I bought a mixed bag, because I wanted all different varieties of sunflowers to grow and get different flowers and different shades and different colours growing on my allotment. Last year I grew some different varieties, and they were absolutely fantastic. They weren't just the standard alone sunflower, and I prefer them, to be honest, all the different varieties, because some have got red in them, some have got black in them, and they look absolutely beautiful. So hopefully we can get some beautiful flowers growing, and I'm just so impressed with all my flowers this year. I've spent a fortune on plants, obviously at reduced rates, because I only buy plants when they're reduced, as you all know. I don't pay full price for plants, because why should you? If the supermarket is selling them off cheap because they can't water them, why not buy them when they're cheap? And if they're perennials, buy them. Don't bother buying all the cheap plants that are just once a year plants. Well, you can do, you see it filling your borders, but if you see perennial plants that are being reduced, buy them. Fuchsias, geraniums, anything that will come back year after year, buy them, because they are a bargain, especially if they've reduced them back down to cost price just to get them sold and get the money back. It's been the best thing that I've done this year, and the front of my plot is looking absolutely fantastic at the moment. Yes, I've added some extra plants in, like cornflowers. I've added some chrysanthemums in. I've added some begonias in, just to add some more colour into it, but it's looking absolutely fantastic. And obviously next year, these perennial plants that I've got in the plot, like my fuchsias and my hydrangea, what I've planted, and I've planted some honeysuckles as well. they will have all bushed out a lot like next year, so they'll fill more space in, so I won't need to plant as many annual plants rather than the perennials. So yeah, it's coming along really well. So that has been a nice little catch up with you. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. If you're new to this podcast channel, please do click that subscribe button. Please do click that follow button, and then you'll get notified of when all the new podcasts come up. I try to do them on a regular basis. And if you've not listened to my other podcast channel, go and check that out. It's called Garden and Allotment Tips Podcast. And there's a link for it in the description of this podcast as well, so you can give that a listen. There's quite a few of those podcasts to listen to as well. So yeah, thank you for supporting me. Do follow me on my social media: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm not a dancer yet, but yeah, do follow me, Gardening with Ben, on them all, and get in touch with me. Send me a message, say that you've listened to it as well. It's always great to hear from fans and followers. So thanks for listening. Until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep gardening, and keep listening to Gardening with Ben. Thank you for listening to today's Gardening with Ben's podcast. I hope that you've enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do click that subscribe button, and feel free to share it as well on your Instagram stories. All you have to do if you're listening on Spotify is click the share button, and you can share it straight to your Instagram story for all your followers to listen to, and help build my listeners up as well and get more people listening to it. Feel free to check out all my social medias: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and TikTok. Yes, I'm on TikTok. Go check it out. Check out my dancing. Gardening with Ben. And check out the link as well in the description of this podcast, where you can check out my gardening t-shirt shop, where I sell funny t-shirts with all different funny logos and designs on. And feel free to support me by purchasing one, and all the money obviously goes back into my allotment, where I can share more gardening tips with you all. So until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep gardening, and keep listening to Gardening with Ben's podcasts.